Doesn't it give us great joy and satisfaction bringing you a podcast, a brand new one every week? And it is Monday Night Live yet again on cricket.com with me, Abdi Shaikh, who's dressed in the purple, symbolic. If you guys know, you know. GG. I have Akshay Kumaraswamy somewhere lying off the coast of Sri Lanka. He's actually in a place called Dickwella. He's not in him. Geographically speaking, he's in there. So we'll get his thoughts in a bit. And of course, Nikhil Popat, blessed with a Wi-Fi today, fingers crossed. There's so much to talk to you guys and unravel with what's gone on in Team India's coach's first presser. Gambhir and Agarkar were there to give their views on this new era before they flied out to, of course, Sri Lanka, where Akshay is probably going to meet them for dinner. Who knows? But look, you're watching the Monday Night Live. Quickly like this video and subscribe if you guys are new to the cricket.com bandwagon, because I'll tell you what, today we are going to be talking about a host of things, not just the new era, as a thumbnail suggested, but pretty much everything. Gambhir's new assignments, his new captains, his backroom staff, what we expect, our hopes and concerns, A to Z of this new Team India era, which is pretty much going to be remembered in the middle of 2024 when we look back. Right, I've said my introduction. That's one hell of a piece, boys. Akshay, you're in Dickwella. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I mean, yes, I am, but I'm not sure if I sort of agree to the joke or whatever the connotation was. But yeah, I am in a place called Dickwella. One thing I've learned after coming to Sri Lanka is we have been butchering their pronunciations left, right, and center since time immemorial, because apparently the A that happens at the end of every name is not supposed to be said as A. It's UH. So it's Dickwella. It's that way. It's not Dickwella like we tend to say, but anyways, but I am there, of course. Have been spending my time wailing away at beaches. 5 days, 7 beaches so far, and I don't think the count's going to go down anytime soon, but I've been having loads of fun here.
Yeah, lots of cricketing action from the Emerald Island, which India will play later on, of course, this week. We'll bring you all the coverage of it. Remember, we will also unpack the LPL Final and lots more in the best of the rest. Not to forget the Women's Asia Cup too, guys, because there's been some credible stuff going on there. Nikhil Popat, how are we then? Because we heard the press conference. We loved those press conferences, which never existed for a long part of time in Team India's BCCI setup or whatever. But what did you like of it? Let's get straight into it before we dissect lots more. Your first thoughts, please.
Love the transparency. I think it was a long time coming, because you need that openness in terms of what is being thought of. Because, we spend a lot of time speculating things at the other end, not knowing what they are thinking. So we talked about, wanting a press conferences. So thankfully that has happened. All I'm hoping for is a repeat of this in terms of let this be a frequent occurrence. You don't want this to be a one-off thing that you have it now and then you don't have it later, because it almost explains everything that has happened in terms of who's the captain, who's not part of the squad, and all of that. So that's a good change, and may that change remain.
Indeed, and we'll talk about all those changes, Akshay and Nix. And I was really willing to get on another guest on MNL because we've been getting so many great faces on. Now, there were a couple who I approached. I approached his agent, shout out to good old Dinesh Chopra, who, of course, became great friends with me when Gambhir was a good friend of the channel on cricket.com. Tried to reach out to him and he was shying away from it, believe it or not. So he missed out today. Then I got in touch with some senior journalists who've followed Gambhir's career as a player and then, of course, as a mentor in the various franchises that he's been involved. Don't want to give any names away, but look, we've got someone even better. I'm talking about the coach's coach, right? The motivator's motivator. We'll show you that excerpt in just a bit. And that is Sanjay Bharadwaj, who was Gambhir's childhood coach from Delhi. We caught up with him, and that is a riveting chat because he gives us a few nuggets, which is definitely worth hearing into. But right now, I want to ask Akshay and Nix a big question tonight, and I'll ask you guys in the comments as well. And good to see so many of you all in the comments, because that's what we love in terms of interaction and engagement. A shout out to all the people commenting right now: Parth, Priyanshi Tiwari, Introspect, Ashutosh Bajpai. Good to see all of you guys. And Parth, you make some good points. I know you're spamming the chat. We'll take it all right. Saw the most ridiculous read from Star Sports where they were asking the LPL players their thoughts on the Roko winning the World Cup. Yeah, I haven't seen that, but I can understand. And cricket lovers assemble. Monday Night Live is here to give you what you need. Right, so Akshay, enough of the fluff. Let me ask you straight, right, off the bat, what are we expecting of Gautam Gambhir? More importantly, what do you think his philosophy will be as India coach?
I mean, in terms of philosophy, I hope that he walks the talk. We've all spoken about how much he had to say, how much of talking he's done so far as a broadcaster, as even a part of backroom staff of various other sides. So now that the time is here, I just hope that he is able to do that. And of course, he started off on a very good note in terms of the press conference, in terms of how he addressed the elephant in the room. I know a lot of
Yeah.
us had a lot of questions, but historically, we've always been used to having a lot of questions, but never really answers. Good to see that they've come up with answers. Once again, it's secondary whether we agree to it or not. I'm not talking about us having the same opinions. The idea is to at least have the clarity ki boss, this is what we're looking at and this is what we wanted to do, and happy to see that. That's a very welcome change. Apart from that, in terms of aggression, in terms of how going for the kill, going for the win is something Gautam Gambhir has always spoken about. I'm expecting to see something like that with this team as well. Make no mistake, with the likes of Rohit and Kohli, in the fag end of their career, it's also time to blood in new talent, to also sort of groom new leaders. So Gautam Gambhir is going to have one hell of a task, and yeah, I'm excited to see that.
What was admitted in his press conference, Nikhil, is the fact that he's taking over from a very successful team, and he made that clear. And obviously, it's a no-brainer how India have gone about it. And given that they got the monkey off the back by winning that ICC silverware, but when we cast our eyes forward to what he has going ahead, it looks something like this. Let's just reflect that for the viewers right now in terms of what they need reminding of. Now, we know his first assignment is Sri Lanka, but then after that, there's some big ones. You're talking about the BGT, you're talking about various competitions like that. In fact, here are his future assignments immediately, which hits the eye, are those 10 tests that he spoke about, which involved Bangladesh first up on the 19th of September, and then, of course, followed by New Zealand. Bangalore will be playing a test, so we're chuffed to bits that cricket.com could probably do a fan cams there. And then, of course, he does go for the South Africa tour just before the BGT. I'm not sure whether he'll go or whether it'll be VVS Lakshman. We'll wait and watch how that plays up. But 2025 also, apart from that England series at home, it's a white ball series. There is a Champions Trophy and potentially a WTC final in there as well. So next, going back to the question that I asked Akshay, right? And I'll ask you this one right now as well. Many people are jokingly saying, Gambol. Are we going to see it?
It's not an easy thing to establish. That is like an identity, because sometimes you don't even want to have that identity named. That's what Brendan McCullum has also emphasized with baseball, that it's not the term that I have come up with.
Yeah.
It's the media that has given me the term. So I have not preached anything like that. But Gambhir spoke about wanting to give players freedom. That is what I just want to be there in the setup. It doesn't matter as much as to what you call it. It is what the players feel inside, because you have to see that whatever bad comes out at times, so whether it is player leaks and all of that, all of it comes exactly to the point that was mentioning, that a happy dressing room is a dressing room that is not going to leak anything, a dressing room that is not going to be insecure, of players who are going to be very happy and willing to play for the team. Eventually, that is what I want to see happening. I'm not saying it hasn't happened in the past, but that is my bare minimum expectation, that whatever you want to name it, because come the test matches, there is a template with which India play. There is no doubt there. Come the T20s, India have adopted a very aggressive approach, which is good, and expect it to stay. Now, what do they do? What do they do with ODIs? Do they continue to bat the way they did in the World Cup? Well, then the template is set for you. All you have to do is fit the jigsaw puzzles rightly and just carry that on, and maybe even better it. Again, it's like we have won too much in terms of, we've got to finals, we've got to knockouts, but we're still not crossing that bar. Now we want to wicket. Now that it is done once, let's do it in other formats as well. So, Gamball or Gamro, whatever you want to call it, all I want to see is good processes and eventually then trophies.
They might go even with the Sky's Gambit for this T20 International Series, given that it's going to be a reunion of a man, of course, Gautam Gambhir, molded and chiseled into a T20 cricketer. And now, look how life has come full circle for Sky. We'll talk about that and, of course, the Hardik situation, the keepers, because like Introspect says in the comments, and lots of you guys, a lot of interesting calls there, which we'll reflect upon in the next hour or so. Good shout out to Jugal, who's joining us. Good to see you, saying Priyansh Dhawan. Missed those IPL watch along days. We're going to be back doing some more fantastic content in general, so stick around for that. And there's some cheeky ones too coming in from Ashutosh Bajpai saying, since Riyan Parag doesn't watch matches, he's been picked so that the team can make him watch matches to the bench as punishment. And Soumya Manidhar appreciating our fashion on this evening. Of course, Akshay truly in holiday style. Nix has gone for the nice white tee, and I've gone for, of course, this symbolic purple for KKR and Gambhir. Right, speaking of Gautam Gambhir, a quick reflection of what his track record suggests, boys, because look, we can talk about his style, his philosophy, but let's just put it out there in terms of his track record. As a player first, very successful, not to forget those 2 World Cups where he starred, remember, with a bat in hand. And then he's also won the Asia Cup in 2010, not to forget those 2 IPLs as captain with KKR and as a coach/mentor, the 2024 IPL win with KKR. And not to forget, even the LSG stint that he had, he called correctly, sitting on the auction table. So he's done wonders in terms of even his short stint as a mentor, dare I say, as a coach. Let me ask you guys then about his backroom stuff, right? Because I know Moni Morkel, unfortunately, due to personal reasons, I think his father is ill, so he's not been able to finalize his deal, but it's imminent, is what we hear. They already are sticking with the man who's made YouTube absolutely blow up in terms of the fielding medal game. So T. Dilip gets the nod. And then there's good old friends in terms of Ryan Tendishkar, quote unquote, someone who'll take a Gambhir bullet or a bullet for Gambhir. Sorry for messing that up. And of course, Abhishek Nair. So really quickly, what do you guys expect? Not to forget Bautule as well, who will be the interim bowling coach, and he's a spinner, so maybe Sri Lanka will just work with him. Is Gambhir got what he's wanted, Akshay? Do you feel now that he's well equipped with the guys he has to drive this team forward?
Sure. I mean, I know there was a lot of chatter around ki boss, why is Gambhir getting to pick his backroom staff and all of that? This is not right and all. But I, for one, don't think that should be the case. If anything, it is important that the coach gets his entourage, because at the end of the day, it's the backroom staff that has to spend most of the time behind the scenes coming up with strategy and whatnot. So given that Gambhir has worked with both Tendulkar and Abhishek Nair for the last couple of years, for the last few years, in fact, it sort of helps. The familiarity will definitely go a long way in ensuring they gel well and they are able to sort of, enter the side a lot more sort of as a unit. And in terms of the resources themselves, Abhishek Nair, I mean, performances speak for themselves. He has been with Dinesh Karthik on a personal level, and Dinesh Karthik himself has only had good things to say about him. In fact, everyone at KKR, whoever you talk to, be the overseas pros or even your uncapped Indians, I remember Ramandeep Singh just a week ago talking about how, unlike any other side, KKR gave him the time, and Abhishek Nair in particular ensured personally ki boss, tujhe agar practice karna hai, if you want to bat, if that's all you want, I'll make sure that happens. Be it sort of bringing him to Mumbai. We know the story of Ankush Raghuvanshi, of how he was brought to Mumbai. He stayed with Abhishek Nair. This is the guy who likes to go the full hog to ensure that his players get what they deserve. And I'm always happy for that. So I'll be very, very interested to see how he does, because the way he talks, the way he is very articulate in terms of what he has to say, what he thinks is going on. I'm not talking about in-game tactics. I'm just talking about things in general. He is a very articulate person, and that will go a long way in sort of ensuring he is in a good state. As far as Tendulkar is concerned, bhai, bias to hoga, Associate Nation and all of that. I love the guy. He's been a phenomenal cricketer. I don't really know what to sort of gauge him by, what numbers, what performances do I look at to sort of reflect on, because he's been an assistant coach at LAKR as well, if I'm not wrong. He's been with the KKR as a fielding coach and even as a batting coach, if I'm not wrong, for a while now. But you can't sort of directly associate performances or attribute performances to him. So I'll sort of hold my thoughts on him. But I don't think it's a bad call at all. If Gambhir is vouching for him, because Gambhir has gone on record saying he's someone I'd happily take a bullet for. तो भाई कुछ तो दम है भाई में, तो yeah, we'll sure go ahead with it.
Now, Tendulkar, if I can add, I think got a gig in Kent in 2021, and he took up the role as batting coach and then eventually got the head coach role as well. So he has done the rounds, not just, of course, in the T20 franchises like Akshay mentioned, but of course, flying a straight in the County Championship. Moni Morkel, who I just spoke about, resides in Sydney, of course, and he will, of course, probably just reborn and reunite with Gambhir, who I think is also in his good books. There were rumors that Vinay Kumar could get the job, but that is, of course, just blown into smoke. Nix, I want to ask you about, essentially what Akshay brought up at the start of this conversation, where many people felt that those coaches should be picked and Gambhir can't hand-pick instead. But that's been going on for a while now. We saw that with the Shastri era as well. I think that's pretty much like what they do in football and other sports. If there's a new coach, a new manager, he gets his backroom staff. So that's fair play to Gambhir, right? And do you think he's chosen the right personnel?
Yeah, of course it is fair play to him, and as Akshay rightly explained, there is sound logic behind it. That see, eventually we are all humans. You can't forget that. You are always going to try and see if there is someone who you think fits the role, fits the job, and you worked with him in the past. You are always going to go back to that person, whether that is in terms of a coach going back to the player. You see franchises doing that as well. CSK have at times just always just spend money after players that they've spent enough time working with. So that isn't wrong as long as you feel the person is professional enough and he'll fit the job. So that is definitely there. Whether he's taken the right personnel or not, see, I don't think we have enough to even comment on Ryan there, because there are some things that are not tangible in terms of results for you to see. But
Correct.
with Abhishek Nair, you have a lot of word of mouth and even interviews where you've heard about people speaking how much being with him has helped people open their options in terms of the game and their lives on and off it. So, Rinku, I think, spoke about this in an interview with Cyrus, if I'm not wrong, about how Abhishek Nair helped Rinku access other parts of the grounds when he's wanting to play a few shots, and how to think about it and all of that. These are all very, very final details that you want the batting coach to be able to spot and solve. Now, a case in point here could be Rishabh Pant. We've at times spoken at length about how at times Rishabh only prefers one side of the ground. Now, if he works with Abhishek Nair, he finds a way out of, okay, this is how I can do this, I can access this part of the field. It opens up a person's game completely. So eventually, of course, we'll judge them by the runs they get, but there will always be these small facets that you have to take care of. That, okay, is this getting better? Okay, it is not getting better. Then what is Vikram Rathod doing? That's what we used to ask. Okay, yeah, everybody's getting out the same way. What is he doing? So I think the questions will still remain the same, but looking forward to the processes that are in place to ensure you take a step forward. It can't be that you have the same errors being done by a batter and then wondering, okay, what difference has the setup done? And that I think will be even more important with Morkel or somebody else, because with Bharat Arun, now we are spoiled. Two Aussie twos, we are now spoiled by expecting that at least control to milega bowling set. Now that is something that cost you in South Africa, cost us in England as well. Now, how do they come up? How do they prepare? That is all that I'm looking forward to. Okay, what do they do to change that? That is immediate, tangible for us to see.
Yeah, especially in the T20 format where you're getting a lot of new players in. In fact, I'll take a couple of comments right now, but there is space for you guys at the end of the show in terms of all the comments we've gone through. And if there are any questions we've missed in this podcast, we'll reflect it for you all. Give us a quick like if you guys are watching this on YouTube, listening to Spotify, and of course, following us on X as well. Nikhil Baiju, good evening to you. Good to see you. Question, he says, shouldn't we move on from Kohli and Rohit and invest in younger players for the 2027 World Cup? Now, that was something that Agarkar and Gambhir spoke about, that they potentially see those two playing that World Cup in South Africa. Now, what is alarming is the fact that the age aspect, but you look at the format on the whole and you generally feel that Rohit and Kohli, if fitness and form permitting, they can still play that World Cup, because so often have we seen with great batters in the modern era for India, they've enjoyed that format, and none better than Virat and Rohit. We'll take more questions as we go along. Rahul Singh, Parth, Sanjay Papigiri, good to see you in the chat, boys. But right here, right now, we will, of course, talk about other things and his future tours and expectations. Now, his first assignment, guys, starts in Sri Lanka, right? And we have seen the squads, the two separate squads. So let's talk about the captain of the T20 then, Suryakumar Yadav. Just 7 games in, Akshay, and he's won, 5 of them? And you feel Sky is the perfect choice, but they made a brave and bold decision not to, of course, captain Hardik Pandya. And is that understandable? Because fitness is a big, big criteria that they pointed out. Do you agree with that move? Sky is captain and Hardik not to be?
Yeah, it's a bold move, but I mean, there's a lot of merit in that choice. Of course, you can always argue against it, saying, "Boss, Hardik Pandya tha, he's also won an IPL and all of that." Sure, but I personally would have sort of gone ahead with something like this, because Sky is going to be in your playing 11 day in, day out. There's no way on earth. There's no possibility, if Sky, if fit and fine, won't be a part of the T20 setup. And given that he's not necessarily playing the other two formats, it becomes that much more easier to ensure कि boss जहाँ पे भी खेले, especially for example when India plays South Africa in November, you can't have Hardik Pandya sort of playing those random T20Is. On the other hand, Sky's free. He's not got any other games coming up. He won't be going to Australia. Given that, it makes a lot more sense. Sure, you can also probably talk about the fact that Sky लेकिन tactically कैसा होगा? How is he as a T20 skipper? Because we've not really seen much of it. But यार वो तो हम देख के पता लगेगा ना. हर कोई थोड़ी ना captain पैदा होके आता है. So you've got to give him a shot. And given that the next World Cup's a good 2 years away and it's also going to be a home T20 World Cup, it makes that much more sense. You give him some time to sort of understand what sort of a leader he is, what sort of a captain is he. Give him time, give him enough resources so that he also understands किसके साथ खेलना है, who's going to be his core group. So yeah, makes sense. He's 33 right now. I can see him play at least 2 more editions of the T20 World Cup. So that's as long term as it gets, to be honest, with this format. All in all,
I agree with you. I do agree with you, because you look at it even from a T20 fixture point of view. Probably Bumrah is your first name on the sheet because he's just Bumrah. But then Sky is your imminent first name on the sheet as a batter. So they've gone and made that marriage. Now, Nix, I want to ask you about generally. They spoke about something that we speak about, right? Separating formats. And that is the ideal case scenario. Gambhir admitted that. And of course, Agarkar did too. And they said they'll get there in due course. So how do they see this first assignment in Sri Lanka? And are we expecting a 3-0 drubbing? Thank you very much. Good start to the Gambhir era. Or do you see it differently?
I'm not too perturbed by the results because I'm very keen to see what combinations they go ahead with. To the point of having separate captains, I think you can only do that in 2 formats at this point of time. Adding ODI with the World Cup, a Champions Trophy also not long way off. It's the World Cup that you're looking at. So that I still think it's a long way off for you to take a call immediately. As Akshay said, for T20 format, it's right there in front of you. Surya, again, now that they have also specified that we are not looking at Surya as an ODI player, that I think just makes it very, very clear for all of us, do not expect this ever to happen, which is a good thing to be, because then it frees up Surya from that role. I don't have to worry about the other 2 formats. Focus on this one and see how to build his own team in terms of, because eventually how much ever you see others influence in terms of outside noise, eventually the captain runs it on the field. Kitna bhi A plan B C level. So I think that's where Surya's grooming will be very, very crucial. Sounds very absurd to see that Surya will be groomed, but we'll have to groom him as a captain because he's done limited captaincy. Whatever captaincy he's done, times have changed. So I think T20 in that way is sorted. Test, again, Rohit, with this WTC final, I think at least a couple of years, you know that he's going to be around. Now, it's good that Gambhir has made it very clear that it's their personal decision. So there also you have a very good clarity that it's going to be Rohit and Virat who will decide for themselves when they want to pull the plug. So at this point of time, you have separate formats being prioritized and given equal importance, which is a good thing to be. I think it also helps Hardik probably just maybe introspect and come to a conclusion that what is it that he wants to be in terms of, because come 2019, I think that was the last time he bowled 10 overs in an ODI. So he'll have to also think a bit about what am I going to be? Am I going to be a T20 guy? Can I play ODIs? Can I bowl a lot of overs in the ODIs? Because that is why it explains the selections of Shivam Dube, Riyan Parag. That if you don't have a guy there who's going to bowl, you need somebody else who can bowl there. So, so far so good in terms of separating the format. As long as the overlap is minimal, I'm completely fine with it.
Yeah, and that's the important thing, guys, because we can look at these 6 games that India will take on Sri Lanka in and not instantly give our verdict on Gambhir, but we can probably see glimpses of what we can expect in this Gambhir era. If you're joining us right now, please like this video right now, because it is so much to talk about from an Indian cricket fan point of view. Plenty of questions to be answered and asked if you guys like that. And remember, as usual, on the Monday Night Live, we have the question of the day. So what are Indian cricket fans expecting from Gambhir, the coach? Let us know in the comments right now. We will take all your comments, and I'm not even joking, because ultimately this is your space as much as it's ours. Now, we'll talk about India's squads and, of course, the certain talking points in that India-Sri Lanka series in the best of the rest section. But let me just go back and finally culminate this chat with something that we already spoke about, Akshay, the future tours of Gambhir and what hits him as a coach instantly. Now, what are we expecting and what are your predictions, right? I know we can probably pull this video later in a year's time and hold us hostage to it, but what do you expect him to win? Do you think he can do the BGT, do the Champions Trophy, and potentially the WTC? Is that too much to ask?
Champions Trophy, sure, you can expect him to do that. It's a format India's done well in. They've got all the resources. And again, given that Gambhir, I haven't seen much of Gambhir, the coach, in Test cricket, of course, because he's never done it before. And isliye I'm going to sort of hold my thoughts on that. And BGT is going to be a very, very, very exciting contest. I can't wait for December or rather November to come soon enough. But I hope India gives a tough fight. As far as results are concerned, I still think Australia might start favourites. I know a lot of Aussie fans themselves have said कि boss क्या बात कर रहा है, इंडिया का साइड देख बुमराह है, कोहली है, रोहित है, but even then Australia with I mean a full strength Australian side in Australia is a beast to challenge.
So right now, if I have to ask you a choice, right? India lose 5-0 to Australia, but they win the WTC. Magically, they of course conjure up the points and they make the final and they win the WTC. Would you take that?
That's actually a tricky one. That's a very tricky one. I'd probably say yes to that because I've always been of the opinion that India deserved to win the WTC final both in 21 and 23. So yeah, I'd probably go for that.
Okay, and Nick, I'm going to ask you in terms of white ball choices, win the Champions Trophy in Pakistan or defend the 2026 title in India, the World Cup?
I think winning a random format will be a lot more fun. So I'm happy to win the T20 World Cup again. Because I don't think it will ever be done again. So defend the title and enjoy.
Man, if everything goes well and if they actually go to Pakistan and India win the Champions Trophy in Pakistan, will be good. Because not only the fact that we did play the Champions Trophy final against Pakistan in 2017, India winning it there with Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma playing their first ever games in Pakistan will be good. But look, that was something that we just wanted to talk about with regards to what is Gambhir as a coach, what we think, but who else do we ask? Well, we thought of catching up to his childhood coach, and it was Vikas Shukla who spoke to him earlier this afternoon. Listen in.
हेलो एवरीवन, cricket.com में आपका स्वागत है। हम सब लोग जानते हैं गौतम गंभीर इंडिया के हेड कोच बन चुके हैं, बट हमारे पास उनके भी कोच हैं, उनके भी बचपन के कोच द्रोणाचार्य अवार्ड विनर संजय भारद्वाज सर। वेलकम सर, वेलकम टू cricket.com। कैसे हो आप?
मैं बिल्कुल बढ़िया, और आपने मुझे इनवाइट किया उसका बहुत ही बढ़िया, और गौतम के बारे में बात करने पे और बढ़िया।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। आपको बचपन में क्या लगता था? बचपन में वो कैसे प्लेयर थे? थोड़ा सा अग्रेसिव माइंडसेट उनका बचपन में भी था?
देखो, गौतम के अंदर ये क्वालिटी रही है बचपन से, वो फ्रेंडली मैच में भी हारना पसंद नहीं करता था। जो इंसान जीत के लिए क्रिकेट खेलता है तो वो थोड़ा सा अग्रेशन तो रखना पड़ेगा। पर्दे के पीछे इतना मजाक करता है, इतना हंसमुख है, मैं बता नहीं सकता, पर वो अपने खेल में जब चूने की लाइन के अंदर जाता है, रस्से के अंदर जाता है ग्राउंड में, तो अपना 100% देना चाहता है।
आपको कब ऐसा लगा कि गौतम गंभीर इतने बड़े प्लेयर बन सकते हैं? ये आपको कब लगा?
मुझे ये था कि जब ये 6-7 क्लास में था, मैंने कहा गौतम शाम की प्रैक्टिस होती है 3 घंटे की, उससे आप इंडिया नहीं खेल सकते और आप में इंडिया खेलने का पोटेंशियल है। तो मैं सुबह, मेरा वहां से 70 किलोमीटर दूर था घर, तो मैं सुबह 4:20 की ट्रेन पकड़ के सुबह 6 बजे आ जाता था। मुझे पता था कि ये लड़के ये इंडिया खेल सकते हैं, और उसमें से 2 लड़के इंडिया खेले और 2 लड़के रणजी ट्रॉफी वगैरह वो खेले।
आप भी एक द्रोणाचार्य अवार्डी कोच है, आपको ऐसा क्या लगता है कि वो उनका कोचिंग स्टिंट कैसे हो सकता है इंडिया के साथ?
उनका ना ड्रेसिंग रूम में इनसिक्योरिटी नहीं होगी किसी प्लेयर को। गौतम गंभीर किसी को झेलने नहीं देगा। गौतम गंभीर पूरा यानी इनसिक्योरिटी जो ड्रेसिंग रूम में थोड़ी बहुत होती है उसको हटा देगा, और मैन टू मैन कोचिंग करेगा, मैन टू मैन मैनेज करेगा कि भी तुम क्या कर सकते हो, तुम क्या। तो मुझे लगता है कि गौतम गंभीर का जो एरा आया है वो बहुत ही तगड़ा जाएगा और ये पॉजिटिव जाएगा। और जब आप यानी एक प्लेयर बन के नहीं लड़ोगे, आप पूरी की पूरी टीम बन के लड़ोगे, उसमें केवल आपके 15-16 जो खिलाड़ी है वो नहीं, आपका पूरा स्पोर्टिंग स्टाफ रहेगा और रहेंगे, तो वो जो 25-30 लोग हैं वो लड़ेंगे, तो उस लड़ाई का आनंद आएगा।
थैंक यू सो मच सर, आपने आपका वक्त हमें दिया।
थैंक यू वेरी मच, आपने बुलाया और मेरे को रूबरू कराया, बहुत थैंक यू वेरी मच।
It is really delightful to hear from, of course, the coach's coach, Sanjay Bharadwaj. Absolute good insights there. Couple of things stick with you. The fact that even when he was young, he was always wanting to win a game, even though it was a friendly game or a club game. Gambhir, as a child, was a winner, and he had that drive and that passion to win any game, right? So it's clear that as a coach as well, we expect him to adopt that style. He mentioned in his press conference as well. And not to forget, he comes from Delhi, where the coach just mentioned as well over there, where you need 1,000%, not just 100% as a Delhi cricketer. So Gambhir, like Virat and so many other great Delhi cricketers, have plied their trade and come through the ranks. Now let's see what is in store for Gambhir, the coach. Right, if you guys are joining us in the Monday Night Live, so many questions to, of course, take and comments as well. Now, we did ask you the question of the day, just to reflect it for you all once again. What are you guys hoping for? All of you all watching this right now, whether you guys are tuning into us from the couches of your house or in office, Indian cricket fans, you can have your say in cricket.com right now. In fact, there's so many comments coming in, boys. I'll take a few. Rahul Singh quickly going on to say, expecting, well, a new ODI captain and an opener after the Champions Trophy 2025 in place of Rohit Sharma. You can't play 40.5-year-old in the ODI World Cup. Okay, you guys are entitled to your opinions. Expecting Jaiswal and Ritu to be roped in the ODI format as well as quickly as possible, saying Yash Agarwal. If you're new to the channel, Yash, please subscribe. He goes on to further say, boys, they both seem to be the perfect fit for ODIs. Can't wait to see them dominate this format. Tough calls ahead, reckons Yash. And finally, Giant Slayer saying Australia is a bitch with Smith opening and the whole squad aging. It's going to be three-peat this time around. Only issue is the scheduling with Perth, Pink Ball Test, Gabba being the first 3 tests. And Abbas Kunde quickly going on to say as well, only disappointment for me is Gill in the T20 internationals that to vice captain and also vice captain in ODI. Nah, man. Well, we saw that and resonated with those thoughts, what you're saying, Abbas, but there has to be a poster boy in Indian cricket, right? There's always a poster boy in Indian cricket, and Gill has got the nod for that, at least seemingly, when we look at it forward. Right, that was the main chat in the Monday Night Live this time around, but time to head into the best of the rest because there's so much to talk about with Akshay and Nix, and we can't wait. So bring it on, best of the rest. Right, Indian cricket fans, your space still remains because we're going to be talking about the squads really quickly then and some of the main talking points of it. The ones that, of course, have been picked to play Sri Lanka and the 3 T20 internationals first and then 3 ODIs. Let's get those squads with starts to the T20, Shaunak, producer, sir. And Akshay, you can have your say because Nick spoke about Sky, the captain. We just hinted Shubman Gill as a poster boy, as vice captain. But what else catches your eye in this team? And what do you think is the starting 11, if I can put the gun to your head?
Okay, starting 11 is going to be a bit tricky, but what really catches my eye is the inclusion of Khalil Ahmed. I know he was part of the T20 World Cup as well as, he was a part of the travelling reserves, in fact, for the T20 World Cup. He's actually been one of those underrated players, if I can use that term loosely. Really like what he has to offer with the new ball, and it is important that India also are able to groom more left-handers. I know I say groom, bhai Khalil Ahmed khud abhi shayad 28-30 ka ho gaya wahan pe. He's been playing for India, in fact, for like 6.5 years, if not longer. But that's the one name I'm really looking forward to seeing. Apart from that, the usual suspects in Riyan Parag and Sanju Samson, we've spoken about both of them earlier as well during the Zimbabwe series. In terms of the playing 11, Shubman Gill, Yashasvi Jaiswal to open, and then I would probably have Sky at 3. Okay, this is where it gets tricky. I'd probably have Rishabh Pant at 3, Sky at 4, Riyan Parag at 5, number 6. Holy smokes! Okay, Number 6, Hardik Pandya. Number 7, Akshar Patel. Number 8, Washington Sundar. Number 9 would be, there's no Kuldeep, right? So Ravi Bishnoi. 10 and 11, I go with 2 pacers. Have at it. I'd probably say Arshdeep Singh and Mohammad Siraj because they are the senior most pacers in the lineup. So that would be my 11. And I just realized, sorry, I've missed out on Rinku Singh. जिसको भी नंबर 6 पे रखा उसको फेंको बाहर. I probably had Riyan Parag को बाहर निकालो, रिंकू सिंह को डालो. Sorry about that.
Okay, interesting. Nick, just coming to those T20s then with India's squad that Akshay mentioned. Bumrah obviously is a definite miss. 3 players that retired from the format aren't there. So who do you expect those 4 spots to be filled in by? That's the essential question, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and which is why I feel the inclusion of Gill really spoils the choice here, because then you are trying to force fit a guy into an all-format guy. I
Yeah.
would rather have Gill focus a lot more on ODIs and Test cricket, because this is a massive season coming up for him. But again, the ship is sailed for that, because when Akshay was making the team, everybody is batting the position down. If even after 3 people retiring, you can't get the people to bat at the right spot, you're doing something that maybe you should not do. So,
Yeah.
which is why I said I'm very keen to see the combinations, because personally, I feel Sky has to bat in the top 3. Now, if Gill is opening, then there is no way to do that, because you've already fixated with Rishabh at 3. Now, what could potentially happen is also that, okay, you wanted Pant at 3 because there was no lefty in the top 2. Could that mean that you go back to Sky at 3, have Rishabh at 4? But then you have to take a call whether you want all-rounders there in Rinku Singh or not Rinku Singh, Shivam Dubey, Riyan Parag, or you want to go Hardik, Rinku and Aksar. Because it is a crucial spot. 4, 5, 6 is your engine room. You have to rely on them to counter any situation at any point of time. So that's where anybody who misses out will feel unfortunately hard done by, and which is why, again, making Gill vice captain means the assurity that he's playing all games, which I am not quite sure of at this point of time. Of course, see, he can go on and score 10,000 runs. That's fine, fine by me. But it just feels there are other options in this format, and you need Gill in other formats a lot more than you need him in the T20 format. So it's not going to be easy to select that first level.
Also, just
Yeah,
one thing though, just one thing there. If since Dubey and Rinku both are a part of the squad, who starts? I don't think both can play. I know they're not playing for the same spot, but given how this 11 structures itself, both can't play here. तो क्या लग रहा है? Because Dubey did well even in the T20 World Cup final. Rinku Singh, भाई गंभीर, KKR, वो connect भी है, apart from the fact that he himself deserves in his own right. क्या लग रहा है वहाँ पे? Who do you think comes in?
Because see, the call here is 2 openers. Your 2 openers are replaced. Rohit and Virat replaced easily. All you have to now think of is it's just the one spot of Jadeja. And again, his favorite Jadeja spot that is difficult to fill, because Bumrah ke liye you obviously want to have a pacer. So that's where the call eventually comes down to that: how many all-rounders do you need? And see, at this point of time, you have Hardik. You'll most likely have Washington Sundar and Akshar Patel. So that is already 3 all-rounders. Do you need a 4th one? I don't think so. So maybe that is where I would possibly side with a Rinku Singh over a Shivam Dubey. But this is very crucial to see. If you don't back Rinku now, I don't know when you will back him. But if you don't play Shivam Dubey, I don't know why he's selected.
So, but बताओ, is Shivam Dubey seriously considered an all-rounder? Like I'm genuinely asking. I know he bowls, but
even if you don't consider him as an all-rounder, the problem here is you're going to possibly bat him at 6 or 7. Not 7, most likely 6 only. Uske upar he can't come. Sky is batting at 4. Hardik will bat at 5. So there is no other place for you to bat him at. And if he's someone, if you are very serious about him as an option in the ODI setup, you have to start giving him the ball more often to see if he can even be the 2-over bowler. See, we have seen random people come in and bowl, and in LPL, Asalanka gave 20 runs in an over. It happens. But you have to try and see whether you want to go down that route. At this point of time, you have too many options to fill that route. So ideally, I would not want Shivam if you are taking Rinku, but there is no other way out.
The way I see it, boys, is I agree with Nick to a certain extent that I'd want to see Rinku over Dubey. They should do this, right? Dubey should probably be a backup to Hardik, and the backup to Dubey, in all likelihood, whenever he gets a call, will probably be Nitesh Reddy. But I see Rinku filling in that void at 4. Drop Pant in T20s. I know it's a bold call. Play Samson. I don't know if Gambhir can do that to buy the fans, because that's what a lot of people want, Samson to start. Pant's already won the World Cup. He has bigger things to worry about in terms of the test wicketkeeper batter that he is, and we need Pant to be the test wicketkeeper that he is for the next 5-10 years. So focus on that. Focus on winning a couple of WTCs, maybe another BGT, all of that, than the T20. Give the reins to Samson, who can fill in the void at 5. So the way I see it, I understand that they've picked Gill as vice captain, but I can't believe they've not taken Abhishek Sharma. So whatever, I'm not going to cry over spilt milk. Jaiswal, Gill, Sky, Rinku, Samson, Hardik, Akshar, Boshi, Bishnoi, Arshdeep, and Siraj. So that's where I see it for this T20s. Will they do it? They won't do it. They obviously won't drop Pant because even Agarkar spoke about how they want to get more miles in his legs and so on and so forth. There is bigger things cut out for Rishabh Pant. He's already got the T20 World Cup. Give it to Samson because feel bad for Sanju, and I'm not, of course, demanding cricket.com subscribers from Kerala. I'm genuinely pleading to the BCCI that give Samson a good run in this team, so on with Rinku Singh as well. Let's quickly then talk about the ODI setup, boys, because Akshay, what catches your eye here? Oh, wait, Roko is back, which is good to see on the demand of Gautam Gambhir. KL is back. Shreyas is back. So pretty much all those World Cup runners-up. So, again, are we going to see the big guns in a shit series?
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's not something that catches my eye because लगा था कि श्रीलंका इतनी हल्की भी टीम नहीं है कि रोहित कोहली नहीं जाएंगे ODI जैसे फॉर्मेट के लिए. So not too surprised by it. Riyan Parag is a very good inclusion because the guy's had solid Vijay Hazare trophies for the last 4 years, if I'm not wrong. So मतलब भाई साहब, it was just due. It was more a question of when and not how. So happy for that. But I just can't believe. I know there's been a lot of chatter around this, but how the hell does Sanju Samson not make it to the squad? How? Like, वो जोई का सीन है ना, why God, why भाई क्या चल रहा है? Like I know that there's only so much we can discuss about this, but there's no way on earth Shivam Dube makes it to the 15-member squad ahead of Sanju Samson. I'm genuinely disappointed with it. Very taken aback as well. And I don't think this was spoken about much during the press conference, or probably I missed out on it. But yeah, genuinely disappointed with that.
Yeah, you can second guess the starting 11, even in this ODI squad, if you look at it deeply, guys, because pretty much they pick themselves, right? You talk about the World Cup runners-up, like I mentioned. So Rohit, Shubman will open, Virat at 1 down. Then you have Shreyas at 2 down, KL pretty much 3 down. Pant won't make it, I feel. Then because Hardik is not there, they might take a punt with Shivam Dube at 6, Sundar at 7, Akshar at 8, and then probably 3 pacers. Harshit Rana probably going to get his debut this time around. And then, of course, Kuldeep is not in the T20s, and there he is for the ODIs. So he'll start as well. And maybe Khalil Ahmed will play this, depending on Arshdeep's availability and, of course, fitness after the T20s as well. So, next, coming to you really quickly then, on the ODI setup, Roko back, Shreyas back, KL back. What is missing here? Are we missing a genuinely good all-rounder at 6, i.e. Hardik Pandya?
Yeah, you are definitely missing, which is why Shivam is picked. I mean, there is no other way out here. Again, his bowling is something that we can't visibly see and say that he'll be the difference maker, he'll be the enforcer. So you have to take a punt there. They've already taken the punt there. I thought this, again, had Nitish been fit and ready, I thought this could have been a good series for him to just get into the setup, see what he offers to you, and then you can work around that option. But that is not there. So you are missing it, and which is what makes it interesting to see that whether they go to Shivam or they play Riyan Parag. Because you had Sky at 6, and you felt, okay, Sky is, again, your batter, not your bowler. You can't always fill the Hardik void. But do you need Riyan at 6? I feel maybe no. You possibly want to see what Shivam offers. Play him. See how much you can get out of in terms of with the ball. When you can bowl him, how you can... See, eventually, sometimes what you have to do is you have to give people enough chances and then say, okay, you're not getting this, so that the person is also sure that, okay, I'm not harshly done by, I got my chances, I couldn't do it, and hence I'm out. So I think that is the best way to go about in this setup, because apart from that 6, the one name that I'm very excited about is Harshit Rana. Because I think he should definitely get a game. He will definitely start. And that really makes it very enticing, because Siraj has been, I don't know what people expect of him. Maybe my expectations are too much, but I really want him to come through as a leader. Sometime, I mean, Bumrah will not always be there. So you will need somebody to step into those shoes. So I think, I'm not saying Harshit will be the Bumrah, but having enough people in form and Harshit Rana having a good Sri Lanka tour will go a long way in not just keeping Siraj on his toes, but very long way, but keep the BJT options open as well.
Indeed.
just sorry, 1 second, Avnish. एक तो शिवम दुबे की बॉलिंग पे इतना भरोसा कैसे हो सकता है? I personally
भरोसा
think
नहीं है।
नहीं, आपकी बात नहीं करा. I personally think Shardul Thakur is probably a better alternative as Hardik Pandya's backup than Shivam Dube. Like, Shardul's batting is better than Shivam's bowling, according to me. This is my personal opinion. And secondly, the sort of conspiracy-filled mind of mine is going in different directions. I'm just trying to think. Harshit Rana is right now uncapped. KKR वाला connection कि भाई cap देना है कि नहीं, auction आने वाला है, retentions का scene है. It's not going to be easy.
तो pick ही नहीं करते ना, pick ही नहीं करते.
पिक नहीं करेंगे तो फिर बात आ जाएगी ना कि पिक कैसे नहीं किया, बहुत अच्छा खेल रहा है, किसको पिक करो, ये सब पिक करके बस ग्रूम करेंगे, बोल सकता है ना वी हैव इनफ रिसोर्सेज सो वी डोंट वांट टू गिव हिम अ गेम. This is just a conspiracy, not believing, do not believe it. This is not even something I believe in, just saying. Yeah.
So basically, Avnish, we can take the IPL out of anywhere, but you can never take the IPL out of Akshay.
No, indeed.
Never.
I was just trying to think about this series, and if India win the first 2 games of either series, whether they'll, of course, give a chance to Rian and Khalil and all the fringe players, Harshit, of course, included. We'll wait and watch how that unfolds, but you're spot on about Shivam Dube not giving you that much conviction. In fact, Ashutosh Bajpai saying none of our top 5 bowl in ODI, unlike some other teams. They don't seem ready to address the problem, especially when Gigi highlighted the importance of part-timers previously. He also goes on to say, I don't like the answer about Pant in ODIs. It was more like we know what he hasn't played ODIs in 2 years, but you don't love the vibe. And Abhishek Batur, if that is a new name, please subscribe, Abhishek. We'll take all your questions and give this video a like. Has Harshit Rana done enough to be selected for the ODIs, or is it an indicator of our backup fast bowling resources? The latter, my friend. And of course, there is a recency bias with KKR winning the title. Gambhir is coach. Math is mathing, certainly. We've seen it over the years as well, whether a coach or the captain of the country has had an imprint in terms of his selections. We saw Siraj and Chahal mushroom his talents under Virat's reign as captain. So it happens. And of course, with Dhoni's years as well, we've seen people like Sudeep Tyagi get the nod. So look, there's always going to be preferences in that nod. Sachin Mondal saying the problem with the Indian system continues. Abhishek was proper opener who can give 2 overs, but our management made Gill vice captain and ate his place. And yeah, it is a tough one for us to swallow, but there is a lot of time, dare I say, in Abhishek Sharma's career. So hopefully he gets the next call up for that South Africa series. Siraj is on a honeymoon holiday to Sri Lanka, saying Rahul Singh, if he's spying on Mia in wherever he is in Sri Lanka. Riddhi Biswas, good to see you. Gigi has a lot of expectations on his shoulders. And Santosh Udupa saying, is the discussion still around the new coaching staff and the squads for the SL Tour? We've passed that. But Santosh, good to see you as always in the MNL, and all you guys as well. Give us a thumbs up in the comments. Right, more cricket to talk about. Meanwhile, Max Mojo, perfect segue comment to take into it, because I did strike with a fifer, my first in English soil, and Ben Stokes was hugging me from behind. You saw that? Did you see that or what? But I'm talking about Shoaib Bashir and the England-West Indies test review, because we can have that up right now. Guys, for a lot of time, I was watching the test and I was thinking, boy, Kavem Hodge is probably the next big batting talent that West Indies have to offer. His play, especially square of the wicket, was well documented. I did like the fact that they could overtake the Baz bowlers' lead of the first innings that they got. And then eventually they had a shit 1 hour, Akshay, with regards to losing, 5 or 6 wickets, going from 61 for none to like 89 for 6, and that's where they lost the game. They were never going to chase 385. I know they chased 322 in Rose Bowl, I think, 3 years ago with Shea Hope getting twin tons. But how do you sum up that particular test, and how do you sum up that test without Anderson and Broad for the first time in an England Test 11 for God knows how many years?
Sorry. I mean, Anderson's absence was definitely felt there. And I probably not spoken of this on air, but off air, while sort of chatting with our colleagues, that was a point even David Lloyd Bumble had to make after the end of the first test. Anderson himself is fit. He's bowling well. He's bowling as well as he ever has. What is the point of him not playing and him being forced to not play? It's not his choice. So probably
he could have easily even kind of been selfish and gone above 1 and then retired. Just play the series out. He would have gone past 708.
I mean, that aside, personal milestones aside, my question is: does Anderson merit a squad, an entry into the squad based on his performances in home soil? I say yes. I think yes. In fact, even in the first test, he did bowl well. I know conditions were in his favor, but anyways, we are past that now. This sort of new look English attack, if you may say so, is definitely not going to find it easy. Of course, it's again not that. Full strength bowling attack यहाँ पे भी काफी नाम missing है. You would want to sort of wait and hold on to those thoughts. I'm just looking at their bowling attack. Yeah, Matthew Potts, he's another bowler I personally really rate highly, and I'm looking forward to watching a lot more of him. It was Gus Atkinson, Mark Wood, and Chris Brooks. Make no mistake, यार मतलब ठीक है नाम है, एंड ट्रेंट ब्रिज सर्फेस भी ऐसा वाला था एकदम, मतलब मारो भाई जितना मारना है मार लो, वैसा वाला सर्फेस था. But credit where it's due, West Indies did play well. Alec Adnaze was my player. I really liked what I'd seen of him last year against India. Happy to see him come good once again, because I genuinely think he will probably be the fulcrum of this West Indian side if and when they do sort of succeed overseas. So looking forward to him. Kevin Hodge, like Avnish mentioned, definitely, he also did well. इंग्लिश बॉलिंग अटैक भाई, लेकिन तौबा, शोएब बशीर अगर 5 लेके मैच जिता रहा है तो मतलब अवनीश भाई, ऑफ कोर्स एज इज लोकल गैंगर यू वुड बी हैप्पी, बट दे विल नीड टू फाइंड आंसर्स बिफोर द क्वेश्चन स्टार्ट कमिंग अप. सो
Yeah, remember, and he doesn't have a contract with regards to the ECB. So let's see if he does get a contract. Stokes' contract ends in September, and only time will tell, because they're building up to the next Ashes like every England cricket team does. And Akshay pointed out the pacers and the reserves that they have. Even Josh Tongue, I think, took a fifer and debut for them. So they're well set. Wokes is probably the next name to be ushered out. But Mark Wood, Knicks, Jesus Christ, he can bowl fast, all right. 97 was one ball that he bowled. His average speed throughout the test was 90 point something. It's just ridiculous. I felt so bad for that West Indian batter, Kevin Sinclair, who got one on the edge of his glove. Probably he's woken up with a broken forearm. But Wood is probably going to be so important in terms of workload management, because they showed even another stat on Sky Sports Cricket where pace is probably the main threat nowadays in Test cricket if you're winning away from home. So do you think the Atkinson-Wood combo can take it on from Broad and Anderson, even though it's huge expectations?
I don't think it's a straight answer, because I think Atkinson definitely has what it takes, in my opinion, to last longer. Wood, as you said, will really have to be managed really, really, really well, because, and you can understand also the calls of not wanting to play Jimmy, because they want people to get ready eventually for what they face in Australia. See, in Australia, you often see very good batting decks, and that's where you want to see whether you can hit that 90 mark on day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. And that's when England in the past have been tested about having enough depth. See, it's not that we are ridiculing, disrespecting them in terms of, okay, they can, everybody wins at home. But England's problem has been doing well away from home, especially in Australia, where you do not get movement. When you do not get movement, how are you going to beat them? Either by pace or by bounce, or by something else that you think can beat them and find a way out, whether it is good planning or whatever it is, short ball plan, whatnot. So Neil Wagner did that once, but that is where I'm keen to see if they use, because I think Wood is as close to Neil Wagner as England can get in terms of an option that they can use in Australia. But for that, they will need 2 more bowlers to hold ends up. And now whether that is Atkinson, because see, Vokes has been around for enough time now, but it hasn't quite worked out that way as well. So Matt Potts ho gaya, George Tom ho gaya, you will need every one of them, and most importantly, you will need Ben Stokes to bowl. I think without Ben Stokes bowling, even yesterday I felt it was a bridge too far, because in the first test he used himself well, but in this test you saw him bowl only as an afterthought, which I think was a surprise. Sorry, not sure how much, I wouldn't say respect, but how much command Shoaib Bashir will have in Australia in Ashes. That is a different battle altogether. So Travis sir udhar bhi baitha hi. So I'm keen to see the entire setup, because it will just not be the 2 people. You will need a complete setup to come together as a bowling attack, that is, to then come on and challenge Australia in that. Because for India also, we're discussing the same thing. You have a Bumrah, you have a Shami, but it's been the depth that has cost India in South Africa and England. So let's see how England prepare there.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that comparison of India and England, because they're like for like in terms of test pace batteries for the longest period of time in terms of having impeccable right-arm fast bowlers. Broad, Anderson come to mind, of course, and they had the likes of Wokes to supplement that. Not really did India have left armour or England. I know Sam Curran would probably played those 2-3 years of Test cricket. India haven't had a real left armour apart from the pace battery that they've had. But it'll be interesting to see how England go on. And I just want to really touch on the batting from both teams, Akshay. Ollie Pope, we know what he did with that double hundred in, sorry, not a double hundred, 196, I think it was, in Hyderabad. And now he's following it up, and understandably so. He still starts off very shakily, but all their middle order seems to be coming to the fore. And I think that's really devastating if you look at it. I know that they're not really going to get anyone a run for their money in the WTC, but Root, Pope and Brook, that's one hell of a 3-4-5 in tests.
Completely agree with you there, and with sort of Jamie Smith also giving a good account of himself in the first test and now even in the first innings of the second test. This is looking to be a very solid middle order, and I'm very hopeful for them, of course, but it won't be easy because ये bass bowler ये सब के चक्कर में you need to have a lot more balanced 11, but that batting really will send chills down the opposition spine. Harry Brook in particular, we've spoken about what a talent he is. He's definitely going to be one to watch out for. If there's going to be a Fab Four, for the next generation, Harry Brook could well and truly be a part of it. That's what I think. I really think in England, in sort of conducive conditions, so it's very hard to get past them. Apart from that, of course, like you mentioned, there's Root, there's Stokes. Oof, yaar, matlab kya bole, kya karna hai? Because amongst the three, you have good quality, good, pace hitting, good spin hitting. You've got people who can take the ball to the cleaners, take the attack to the bowlers. You've also got players who can, if needed, play defensively. We've seen Root come up with those marathon defenses. So it's not going to be easy for sure for opponents, and let alone West Indies. Matlab unko to kya hi bole hum.
Sorry,
Yeah,
but this sounds as if England are on top of the WTC panel and not at the bottom. But
WTC की तो मैं बात ही नहीं कर रहा ना, वही bowling
the point
इसीलिए.
is, the WTC reflects how you are and where you are as a test side as well. So I think that something is also perspective is important, because they've always had the talent, but they've made a very brave call with Johnny Bairstow firstly, of him being out of the setup, and that's where I think Brook, because he was always, he was not there for personal reasons. He's coming, he fills those shoes. But I think Stokes as a batter has to really step up. I think in the last 10 tests, he's averaging 27 odd. Since 2022, he hasn't had a good time again. When you talk Stokes, your conversation completely moves to not the batter, but the figure or the cult that he is, which is great. I think he's bowling, which is, I think, very, very important for England. But as a batting, they still, I feel, have enough to do away from home. The Brook has had good number of centuries away from him, which is good, but it is not been that rosy. So sorry, England के ज़्यादा तारीफ सुनाई कभी-कभी I can't hear too much of England praise. Sorry.
No, look, it's a new summer for them, and that's why a new look team with some of them moving on. Not to forget number 7 for them in Jamie Smith, because many people were going to question his wicket keeping. He's not the best with the gloves, but he's proved us wrong. Some of the catch behind the stump and the glove work has been sensational. In fact, a lot of comments coming through with regards to this England chat. Root is a ton machine in testing. Max Mojo. Akshay wants Harry Brook to RCB. LOL. Saying Mohammad Aran. Anyone except Root is fake news. Flat track bully. Rest of them. Harry Brook not close to any top 4 for red ball cricket, saying Santosh Udupa. And Abhishek Bartu saying, I find Ollie Pope extremely overrated. He's a good batsman, but isn't as good as the English media projects. He has way too many weaknesses and will be found out against good bowling attacks. I mean, already Ashwin had his number, Abhishek, and with regards to Ollie Pope, you get that impression that he has a mistake in him in the first 20 balls, but look, he knows English conditions like the back of his hand, and the numbers are matching it as well. Karan B asks, any idea why England has left out Josh Tongue? They'll probably breed him in the next couple of series. They play Sri Lanka in 3 more tests this summer, so let's see if Tongue features there. Hi guys, aren't you covering Asia Cup? We are covering the Women's Asia Cup. We'll move on to it in just a bit. Meanwhile, there are more questions which we'll take 100% in the 12th man corner, because we want to address a whole host of things in the best of the rest. So Ramana Kiran, Adyayan Singhal, I think Sanjay Papia Giri has one for us. So all of you guys, just be patient, stick around, and then 12th man will showcase your comments at the end of the show. Right, time to move on to, of course, the Women's Asia Cup, which is happening in Sri Lanka right now. And we did see the tournament have India-Pakistan already, another cold contest in this so-called hot rivalry. Let's quickly reflect on the results we've seen so far. It was Isha Oza and her UAE to kick off the tournament, and they did not go well, with Nepal winning that by 6 wickets. Comprehensive, some would say. Then the fixture I was alluding to, Pakistan being dismantled by India by 7 wickets. Thailand, Malaysia was a good one for the Thai women over there. 22-run win. And then Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, seeing Sri Lanka pocket the points. It's always good to see the host win. And India, UAE, it says Sri Lanka winning by 78 runs there. I'm not sure if that's Manish or whoever, but we'll hold them culprit. India smacking UAE and, of course, registering their highest ever T20 international total. And again, Pakistan, Nepal. What is happening with the graphics, guys? Manish, you got to be careful. Right. Anyway, Akshay, what have you liked at the Women's Asia Cup? Because is it going to be another title that India get? What? They won 7 Asia Cup titles, so it'll be the 8th, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about this last week as well. India not winning would definitely be a result they should be unhappy with. They won 7 out of the 8 tournaments so far. 8 editions so far that's happened of the Asia Cup. In terms of what I've liked so far, of course, UAE being defeated by Nepal, that was an upset in my eyes, because I genuinely thought UAE was coming up with their best setup going forward, at least in this Asia Cup. And Nepal, the way they played, I mean, I want to say Miss Khatka because I don't know if I'll be butchering her pronunciation. Samjana, whatever it is. I'm really sorry. But a fantastic knockout. Highlights dekha. Kya kheli hai? Very, very, very impressed, especially the way she took on some of UAE's bowlers. Make no mistake, Isha Oza herself is a very capable all-rounder. It was very impressive to see that. A 40 ball 78 for her. That was, of course, to kick off the tournament. India-Pakistan, we discussed this last week as well, कि भाई rivalry सिर्फ on paper है market करने के लिए. There was never a rivalry to begin with. And the game also, if not for the last 30 odd minutes, would have been as one-sided as it should have been. They should have won by 10 wickets in all honesty. Smriti, who else? Smriti, Jemmy and Shefali Verma, all of them just gave their wickets away. Not Jemmy, sorry. Jemmy and Harman did take us home. Hemlata being the 3rd wicket. But India has been very, very, very comprehensive. We've spoken about this. They are looking like a very well-oiled unit in that they do have some visible flaws. But jo strengths hai unke, they've been very good at maximizing them. We saw that against South Africa as well. Hemlata at number 3, this was going to be one of the weaknesses. I mean, not weaknesses, one of the talking points. Ki boss, will she be able to grab that opportunity with both hands? Will she be able to hold on to the number 3 spot, because the World Cup's only 2 months away? That's really not been the 2 matches, 2 failures so far, including against UAE. Matlab, kya bole? Like, sure, theek hai, matlab, now that Pakistan themselves are a much better bowling attack. But it's been very unfortunate. In other news, Renuka Singh Thakur once again begun taking wickets. But this maybe, I don't know if you guys happen to see, first game, fantastic spell. It was 1 for 14 or 15. Second game, new ball, acha kiya. First 2 overs in the power play, 9 or 10 runs. Next 2 overs, she goes for 22. And this is against UAE. Once again, just showing that unidimensional player that she is, that's not going to work for her. New ball ke saath tum jitna chahe jo kar lo. In a place like Bangladesh, sure, there's a lot of new ball movement and all of that. But uske baad kya? How do you sort of excel, or how do you add value to the side beyond that? I'm not sure. And that's still a question unanswered. These were the 2 major questions for them. Will Renuka Singh Thakur step up? Because, again, that's the other spot they'll have to look at in terms of filling in. I don't think we can sort of say yes to it. I know she's picked 3 wickets so far. So, theek hai, matlab, not a bad performance. But I still don't think that's the case. I genuinely hope Arundhati Reddy gets a nod, at least in one of the games during the Asia Cup, if not the World Cup directly.
Yeah, with Renuka, she's been labelled as a one-trick pony, one-face bowler sort of brand line. And it's unfair, some would say. But look, who's to, of course, say? There's another point of view in terms of an RCB connect with Sriyanka Pal injuring herself. So she misses out for this Women's Asia Cup remainder of the series. Next, I want to ask you little bit about what you liked about Pooja Vastakar, because she's been, of course, one of the shining lights as well, with the ball in hand in particular. Do you think she can now get that power hitting game, which she already has, and then make herself as a proper T20 package. So come the ICC tournaments, we can have her as an X factor more than the great dazzlers we have at the bat up front.
Oh, 100%. I think Pooja Vastakar will eventually end up as a player of the match in the final in the World Cup in Bangladesh, because I think she's really come through as your strike bowler, because it's just the way you see her bowl. You
Yeah.
see Renuka's overs and you see Pooja's over. You literally feel there could be a wicket falling every ball in Pooja's over, which is, I think, speaks volumes about the skills that she has. Now, again, there will be times when she'll not get it right, but of late, she's been getting it right very, very often. And when you get Perry out for a duck in a test, I think you are obviously destined for greatness there. क्योंकि वो रोज नहीं होता. So I think Pooja, in terms of the bowling, she's done the best that she can. And with the bat, I think, firstly, a word for Richa Ghosh. She was, to put it in terms of Gaurav, I don't think I've said this enough for many people, but I will never forget that now. It was the ease with which she came in, and she was just able to access gaps, hit boundary wherever she wanted to. Drive karna hai, drive karegi, square drive karna hai, square drive karegi. On that very given day, see, you can say whoever was the opponent, but on that same day, Harmanpreet Kaur was trying to target the leg side only, because wind and all that. Richa Ghosh, no such thing. You bowl there, I will hit you there. You bowl there, I will hit you there. I think it was one of the best knocks that I've seen. And she, in the last over, if you have not seen it, just go back and watch that last over that she hits Hina in terms of the left arm spinner. Look at the area she's able to access. That is as good as she can get. Of course, she's very young. She will err as well. But if she can continue to be the light with Jami and Harman, this is going to be a good middle order to watch out. And if, as you said, if Pooja can somehow get in there, get a few gigs in, just send her up there, see what she can do. Sometimes I feel it is better you send Pooja at 3. I know it's just never going to happen. Very random thought. But see, Hemlata is there for a reason, and hopefully she'll come good there. But I will not mind that promotion someday, that you go out there and see what happens with it. Because eventually at this point of time, you are trying to look at the bigger picture. So Pooja is doing great job with the ball. And she's actually, in fact, India's leading bowler. I'll not be sad or surprised to see that. In fact, she's leading the bowling attack at this point of time. So Renuka has a lot of things to take care of in that aspect.
Yeah, as radical as that sounds, the change of Pooja at 3, I would love it, because it'll be a revelation of some sort, and it'll just give Pooja Vastakar a little bit more responsibility with the bat in hand. I know we don't want to overburden her because she's doing so well with the ball in hand, but let's see if India do go on to win the World Cup, like Nick's bravely called out a while ago, and Pooja to win the man or the player of the match in that regard. Right, Women's Asia Cup will reflect on the winners, of course, in the next MNL, but we're seemingly guessing, like we guessed last week, it'll be India to pip whoever they meet, potentially the host Sri Lanka by the looks of things. And we will, of course, take a few more questions right now, or comments, questions we can take in the 12th man. I'll just remember the Sri Lankan women's team, but Chamari Atpatu forever. We will all do, but there's some more comments. Women's cricket is promoting LGBTQ more than the game, especially outside Asia, saying Santosh Udupa. And India has made the finals in the World Cup because it's Bangladesh. Anything else less is a failure. And Ayush Chikli saying India women's will keep winning until Sigma comes in their path.
Sorry, but anything else is a failure reminds me of only one thing from Somesh. And I think Akshay had something similar when he read that.
No, indeed. Right. So just a reminder of the Women's Asia Cup and how it's really fizzled out. There is a correction. So Manish definitely doesn't want to cut and pay, lad. But Asia Cup results, you can go catch all of the coverage on cricket.com. But here is how it has panned out so far. 7 games, lots to like and lots to loathe in some parts of Asia. Right. Talk about Asia. We'll talk about another franchise going on and where Akshay is currently at, Sri Lanka, with the LPL Final, and Jaffna Kings apparently winning their 4th fucking crown. I watched this game apparently on fan court for a bit. The first 10 overs, it was a different game altogether.
Wait. Why do you say apparently I watched the game? क्यों खुद को नहीं पता कि देखा
No,
कि नहीं?
because I never knew I would have that on my Sunday agenda. But then I was stumbling across sport, and then I said, wait, the LPL Finals, let me see how it is or how bad it is or whatever. So 48 for 3. And then I think I just saw a glimpse of Baruka Rajpaksa's knock. 34 ball 82. And they take, of course, his team to 184, was it, Knicks? But then in response, Riley fucking Russo turns up in Howe, and they finish the game with 4 overs to spare. So what have I missed in the second innings? Because I just saw glimpses of that first innings, Nikhil.
This was as Jai Matadi as it could ever have been. Two people who you can't rely for life in Kusal Mendes and Riley Russo hitting. I mean, they shared an unbeaten stand. Nissanka was the only guy who got out for 0, and the other two just, what is this fuss about, bro? We'll just solve it all. And this sums up LPL. You will never be able to predict what they can do, how they can do, but possibly you feel one of the strongest teams has won. And again, they are one of the strongest teams. For example, Nissanka scored a ton in this edition as well. So he's been very good for them. Kusal Mendes came good just at the right. Dude, when Riley Russo scores, there is all you can do is well play. There is nothing else that you can do or talk. Shubh Agrawal, the very South African lad, couldn't quite sum up what happened there. So it's just things that happen in the game of cricket. Forget it.
The last time I saw Riley Russo play a game of T20 cricket, it was Punjab versus RCB, and Virat Kohli
I was
sent
about
him
to
off
say
like
that.
Just sent him off like that. Akshay, out of all the 22 players who played in that LPL final last night, would you like to take any of them to the beloved Royal Challengers Bangalore as a scout, as a fan scout?
I mean, Fabian Allen, outside chance, I genuinely like him. Package hai acha. Package as a backup option, probably I wouldn't mind him. Baki to
In the Chinnaswamy, Fabian Allen.
अरे चिन्नस्वामी में 14 गेम तो नहीं खेलना है ना भाई, मतलब दूसरे वेन्यूज में भी खेलेंगे. पता चला सीएसके में कुछ है तो जस्ट बैकअप ऑप्शन, चेन्नई में सॉरी. बट भाई साहब has LPL been a vibe यार. Just chatting with locals here as well, it's not as popular as IPL is in India, of course, for obvious reasons. But there are pockets in Sri Lanka that are very big on cricket. Very, very, very big. Matra is one such place. Sana Jayasurya's birthplace, of course. That's where he hails from. Boy, do they love their cricket, yaar. Every day, I've seen beach cricket, I've seen street cricket, I've seen gully cricket, you name it. I've seen bus stand cricket even. So they love it, and they were following it intently. And in fact, they and I, both of us, did feel that Candy should have won that qualifier game, won that knockout game against Jaffna. They lost by 1 run. Kushal Mendes scored a century there, and यहाँ पे आके जीत ही गए भाई. मतलब क्या ही बोले वहाँ पे. I have no clue. LPL has been one random tournament. I'm just surprised Isuru Udana wasn't the one hitting that 34 ball 82. It's Rajapaksa. We should just be happy कि ठीक है कोई ढंग का बैटर ही खेल गया innings बस.
Yeah, I mean, some of the bowlers also in display were T20 typical bowlers. Your Pretorius pops up to mind. I think they had, of course, some of the Afghanis involved as well. So if you guys wanted to look at the scorecard, go check it out on cricket.com. But like Akshay mentioned, Sri Lanka cricket and the passion there, just because they're not in really the limelight and they don't have the good old days anymore, there's so much to love. I can't wait for that Sky Sports cricket documentary, actually. I think Nasser Hussain alluded to it a while ago that they would have shot it and probably put it out when England plays Sri Lanka later on this summer. So anyway, onwards and upwards for Sri Lanka. From one league to the other, because we want to talk about the Major League Cricket right now, which will have its final on Sunday. So we'll review it proper in the next week, MNL. But really quickly, the 4 teams there as well have qualified out of the 6. And the 2 which missed out was LA and Seattle. LA, of course, with Tanishkar involved, his team doesn't take part. And Seattle Orcas also missed out. Nix, what's been happening there? Because I've just been seeing scorecards, not even the highlights. And I keep seeing Smith, Head, Maxwell in that same team. What else is to like? And was it a Pollard masterclass last night?
Yes, please do go ahead and check that out. Just check out the way he celebrated dismissing Andrew Russell. I think it's weird how some of these guys who you feel will be like chuddy buddies, but they just have so much passion, and which is good to see. I mean, Pollard is Pollard for a reason. So unfortunately, haven't been able to watch live. Different part of time then. But again, similar thoughts to you. I feel very let down by the pitches, but again, that could just be me. I said this the last time as well. Not too many high scores, and you can see patterns developing. If you bowl fudge, you bowl well, there is very little chance of the second side to come in and overhaul whatever you have done. So again, you will have a knockout game between MI and Chennai franchise. So that is all that people are going to look forward to. But it is good for MLC that it has a lot more, as Akshay pointed out in the last edition as well, a lot of local talents have also come through in terms of people who not overseas there, but they have played crucial roles in some of the games. You've had Hasim Khan take a few wickets here and there. You had Babar scoring runs, Saif Babar scoring runs at times. So that has been there. Ab dekho aage how it shapes up. When you don't watch it live, you don't quite get the feel of it. But I'm happy. You'll have to give up on something.
Okay, that is a tip to, of course, watch. Check out all the highlights like Nick is mentioning over there. We'll, of course, talk about another T20 franchise, or rather a one-day franchise. How do you even term the 100? Whatever it is, it starts, of course, on Tuesday. And we can just allude to something really quickly right now, because one of our writers has, of course, put out an all you need to know about the 100 men's competition, the 2024 one. I can tell you something for start, ladies and gentlemen. One is there's some funky new rules this year. I can name you a few. The no ball goes for 2 runs. And there's another weird rule where fielders can move 15 meters back for the free hit. So go check out this read. It's available right now on the website and the app about the 100 starting tomorrow. Remember, there have been 3 different winners in the past 3 editions, and Manchester Originals have not, of course, won it yet, which I really want them to do because I support the Manchester franchise in the football scheme of things. So hopefully Josh Butler can make it. 3rd time lucky because they made the last 2 finals, remember. So let's see how that unfolds from there. Another thing about the 100 is, you know what? Go just check it out. I'm not going to say anything else. A quick prediction then from Akshay and Nick's about the 100. We know Nicky P is in it. We know some other great T20 names are in it. What are we expecting, boys?
I mean, before anything, isn't it ironic that a format that was created to make it more easier, more palatable to viewers, they're just complicating it more? The rules, ये कौन है भाई? मतलब क्या फूक के decide किया कि हाँ ये करते, ये rule लाते हैं भाई, इससे तो मजा ही आ जाएगा. I have no clue what's happening there.
See, they've always been brave in terms of taking those pioneering steps for the game, and I don't think this has really worked out because they thought about competing with the IPL as the BCCI brainchild. They should have just really oomphed the T20 blast, but again, that's a separate chat altogether. Nix, what do we look about the 100 this time around? Is there anything that you're keenly looking forward to the tournament, given the fact that it actually is in decent viewing hours, right?
Yeah, that's the only thing that I think works in their favor, because it is just too random. Any which ways, the format is random in terms of T20 cricket. You take out 20 balls, call it something else, and they are humne banaya. So, but ठीक है, I think the good thing will be a lot of new talent is coming in, which is something which is very interesting. A lot of us follow Sam Hen and others after their exploits. You know, you had Will Smith FC after seeing him do well for Birmingham, but then he's not going to play. There are some teams who haven't even named injury replacements. So it's been very weird to even start to do homework on them. But I mean, it is England, so they have always been कि भाई मैं expert हूँ, मैं सब करेगा. तो ठीक है, करो. I'm looking forward to Russell again because there is no Josh Butler for Originals. Most likely he's going to be injured. That is gone out of the window. Or Ben Stokes is supposedly going to play because भाई जिसका कोई नहीं है उसका Ben Stokes है. So let's see how Northern Superchargers go about that. Because apparently he'll be also available if they play the knockouts. So can't wait for Sir's.
I can't wait. I mean, Northern Superchargers, I think, is captained by Brooke, and then they have Flintoff as coach, who'll be head coach there. There's some tons of names. I mean, Naseem Shah, I think, is playing this one for the Birmingham Phoenix. You have Kieran Pollard playing for the Southern Brave. There's Sikandar Raza, there's Rahman Pal, there's a lot of great names, like I mentioned as well, Nicholas Puran. We spoke about Flintoff there, lads, but there's another Flintoff making all the news. Little ripples from England in an England under-19 game against a Sri Lanka under-19 game, becoming the first player in the under-19 scheme of things for England to score 100, and it was Rocky Flintoff who created a little bit of history. It was just good to see what he put out. Now, this is younger version of Flintoff, and let's see how he turns out and whether it's a case of like father, like son. But some of the shots, I don't know if you guys saw the clips on Twitter, Akshay, he actually looks like Andrew Flintoff, man. Little Rocky.
I saw a clip of his shots, and there was thoda sa dikha, but again, देखते हैं भाई क्या 16 साल का ना, he's a 16-year-old, तो इतनी जल्दी तो नहीं करेंगे.
I know, but I can't wait for the next conveyor belt of English cricketers because it has Atherton's son, Flintoff's son, Michael Vaughan's son. I think he's there as well. So it'll be
Austin won,
interesting.
right?
Yeah, Archie won.
Archie won, something with you, sorry.
Archie won. So look, let's see how that goes. Rocky Flintoff, did you see any clips of him on Twitter, Nix? I mean, does he give you good feeling?
See, to me, that is something that is there. No? When you hear Flintoff, the only thing that comes to your mind is, oh, good all-rounder. He will make things happen. He was the Ben Stokes wants to be, if you want to put it that way. So lots of expectations to live up to. But the clip that you mentioned, you can see by a couple of pickup shots and how he pulls that, oh, there is that genetics that's there that, okay, this is how I'll play the pull. It's more like a short arm jab or something. But I'm looking forward to him growing out of that shadow as well, because when you are a big name, you'll always be compared to him, and oh, he did this like this, how do you do it? So already he's made a mark by playing in a different format game. So looking forward to him growing his game, still very, very young, so I'll not burden him by any expectations. Just happy to see what new he brings to the table.
Yeah, who knows, in that 2034 T20 World Cup final, the final over when Rocky Flintoff is facing up against Vicky Otsval, whether he'll come up good against the Indian left-arm spinner. Only time will tell. I'm just predicting the future. Right, let's wrap up this best of the rest by showing you what's to watch this week. Lots of cricket, which is, of course, hitting your screens. Asia Cup women's action continues. Tomorrow, the 100 starts. Of course, this is all the international fixtures, but the MLC final is on Sunday. There is, of course, the 100, like I said, and it is all eyes on Saturday, guys, because Sri Lanka, India, the first T20 is then Sunday as well, back-to-back games. And not to forget, Friday, you see the third test of England, West Indies starting, and Thursday we'll see Ireland, Zimbabwe, just the only test over there. So, cricket lovers, that is something to savor in terms of all the cricket this week. Right, we've done the Women's Asia Cup roundup as well, so we really thank you guys for being such good people in the comments. We will take all of it. Santosh, Ronak Vadva, Greg K, keep them coming through. And if you have some questions for us in the 12th man segment, what are you waiting for? Key them in right now, so we will take them. But time to move on to a lovely part of the program on the Monday Night Live, as always, and that is Howzzat! Oh my God, he's ruined it. I don't know if you guys saw these Jaden Seal appeals, bro. Fuck, these West Indians also appeal differently compared to the Indians and the South Africans. Tell us as well which appeal of all time you've liked. Speaking of Howzzat, it is time for Akshay Kumar Swami, the quiz master, to throw his question for this evening. But first, Akshay, as always, what was last week's answer and who won it?
Yep, last week's question, if the graphic is there, all right, I don't see the graphic. So from what I remember, the question was about Viv Richards. He won the player of the match on the 9th. I don't know what details was given. Basically, the question was, what is so special about that particular player of the match award, and what feat did he achieve that's never been achieved by anyone else in international cricket history since then as well? The answer to that is he won the player of the match that day, not for his batting, not for his bowling, instead for his fielding, for the 3 catches that he took. And in the process became the only player in the history of international cricket to have won a player of the match for his batting, for his bowling, and for his fielding efforts. Make no mistake, he's also won a player of the match for his 6-foot against India just a week before that particular game. So that makes him a very unique player in that regard across men and women. No other player has been able to do so, which is why they call him the original king, of course. So that was that from last week. Unfortunately, none of you got it right. I know a few of you tried answering it in terms of the Captain Connect and all of that, but wasn't to be the case. None of them were right, unfortunately. Let's hope you guys get it right this time around.
That's insane. Like, so no one got it right.
Nope, unfortunately, no.
That's bad. You managed to stump everyone. Let's see what you had this week, and we'll flash it on the screen right now. And there you go, Akshay. Take it away.
Yep. Fairly simple this time, not as birdy as last time. If it's Graham Gooch for England and Ricky Ponting for Australia, who is it for India? काफी simple सवाल, काफी मतलब आसान नहीं कहूँगा, but very easy. Not a lot of red herrings there for you to be stumped. So let's see what happens there. Once again, just to be clear, if it is Graham Gooch for England and Ricky Ponting for Australia, who is it for India? So this is the question, guys. And once again, like It says below, please make sure you keen your answers only at the end of the live stream. You've got to wait for the live stream to end. Do not keen your answers here in the live chat. You're only going to help your fellow viewers. And yeah, you stand to win a cool Amazon voucher from us.
Yeah, it's probably one of the most straightforward Howzzats you've ever asked, but it's a tricky one. So if you guys can read between the lines, do, of course, comment after the live like Akshay said. Nix, any guesses? Graham Gooch, Ricky Ponting, who's it for India?
There are a few names of people with good captaincy records, good batting records, but he will not give it away.
Yeah, because Graham Gooch, I keep thinking about him being the triple ton that England have in their kitty, but Punter doesn't have one. Oh, look, I'm guessing.
He score at a venue. It could be anything.
It could be anything. Greg K already saying Virat Kohli. If you're right, Greg, you'll only know, but comment in after the live as well. Lots to, of course, finish with regards to your questions in the 12th Man Corner, because it's already been nearly one hell of a show and a 90-minute one, to say the least. Samyak joining late, saying hello, joining after a long time. Good to see you, Samyak, in the chat. Keep your comments coming through and ask us anything in the next segment right here, right now. And like this video as well, because we're going into, where is it? The 12th Man segment. Right, this is your time to ask us anything, and I just take random ones. Sorry, Nix, I'm putting you on the spot here. So Nix is very good at predictions, so he bets or not. What kind of question is this?
I try. Sometimes it comes off, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah.
Okay, fair. How is Atherton's son and Flintoff's son playing in the same era? Mate, Flintoff's had many sons, I'm guessing. His oldest has been there. Has he? I'm not sure. But I don't know. I don't know why you put me on spot with such questions, Santosh. But he had another one for us where he said particularly take it in the MNL bid. I mean, the 12th man bid. How long do you guys think Williamson will go on in Test after he stepped out of captaincy? Akshay, what's your gut feel with Kane?
If I'm not wrong, he's opted out of the contract as well, right? Of a central contract from New Zealand cricket. If I'm not wrong, I might be wrong. Correct, Nikhil bhai, he also opted out now after Chen Colt.
Yeah.
I think so. I suppose so.
Yeah. So given that, and given
because Latham said then in retort saying that they wish that the contracts could be more fluid, so that came on the back of that.
Correct, that's true. And given that New Zealand themselves hardly play a lot of Test cricket, यार मुश्किल से तो साल में 8 या 10 Test खेलते हैं. So yeah, I expect Williamson to continue a bit longer. Also because I don't think New Zealand have too many batting resources available in their reserve. So they'll probably try and see if they have alternatives, backups, and probably groom someone as well. So I do see Williamson continuing at least till the next WTC, 2027 that is. हो जाना चाहिए तब तक. He's Virat Kohli's age. So yeah, should be 38, 39 then. And given their lack, again, unlike India, New Zealand play very limited international cricket. Sure, he will be sort of plying his resources, applying his trade outside in all these various franchise leagues. But I don't know if there will be too many takers for him over there as well, unfortunately. So, देखते कितना खेलेगा.
Okay, let's give this next one to Nix then. Where does Leach fit in at the scheme of things now, he asks. Mohammad Aran, that is. Bashir has pipped him, you think, Nix?
Yeah, it is very harsh, I feel, on Leach to be left out. I mean, Leach, it's weird, no, how life works. Your county prefers Leach to Shoaib Bashir, but your country prefers Shoaib Bashir over Jack Leach. So I think it is just what is required at that point of time. I don't think he's pipped in just as of now. Yes, the high release and all of that is fit and fine, but I don't think, fitness permitting, I don't think Jack Leach is out of the system just as of now. Because whenever they want to play two spinners, I'm sure Jack Leach will walk into the 11 as he should. So hopefully that isn't the end of it.
Yeah, let's see if Leach overturns his Somerset spinner, let alone England spinner in Bashir. Manoj Sharma saying, please give any insider news of IPL. I wanted to bring this up at some point in time with the rumours of Pant to CSK gathering steam, the rumours of KL to RCB gathering steam. Akshay, do you have anything different for us?
He had already confirmed last year, so all he can do is write his sign off.
I'll double down. No, I'll double down on that sort of opinion or take itself. Again, मनोज भाई आप insider information पूछ ऐसे रहो जैसे ये सारे owners हमें call पे लेके पूछ रहे कि भाई इसको ले उसको ले. I don't think as much as we wish to be a fly on those conversations, we aren't. We're not privy to what's happening. that was a guffaw on my part last year, but I don't think anything's cooking right now in the IPL. I know there's chatter around LSG probably letting go of KL Rahul, and apparently KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma could be traded, between LSG Mumbai. Random talks again. पहली बात तो trade window होता नहीं है. Trade window है ही नहीं. So first of all, BCCI needs to come out. The only update you guys can wait on is on the 26th or 27th of July, BCCI will be having their meeting with all the franchisees where they'll be deciding on a few key pointers, which include number of retentions, whether they need a trade window. So wait for the meeting to happen, and definitely post that you will get your updates. So hopefully next minute we'll have a lot to talk about when it comes to IPL. So fingers crossed, retentions ढंग के होंगे, trade window खुल जाएगा, because that will mean proper chaos. We know what CSK has told. We know what was it Padmanabhan who probably went on to say अगर धोनी नहीं खेलेगा अगले साल we'll probably go for the best Indian wicketkeeper available. So you never know what's going to happen there.
Yeah, speaking of the IPL, last MNL, we of course just unraveled the whole Delhi Capitals, Ricky Ponting thing with their analysts. Go check that out. We feel that Dada might get the job. The talks about Dravid getting the KKR job. So watch this space. Cricket.com will of course unravel all of it for you. Couple of more questions to just finish off MNL with in this 12th man segment. Ramna Kiran has one next saying, why has Sam Curran been ghosted from the test side? A genuine new ball bowler with a good in-swinger, bats 7, proved it against India a couple of years ago. Do you think, again, it's the choice he's made for the remuneration side of things, where he's so involved in franchisees that he's just almost bid goodbye to this format?
Another player who I think is not out of it just as of now, but we spoke about them going into that phase of trying too many options. Now, this could potentially be a way of them just saying to him, "Ke bhai," because you saw him out of the T20 setup also, and remember he was the guy who was player of the tournament just a couple of seasons back. So I think you can't write anybody off. I would have loved to see more of Sam Curran, but I don't know if he fits into their schemes outside of England. So in Australia, maybe do you feel there is a space for him? Maybe no. I would rather want a more pacey all-outer, so to speak, to bother the batters. And in subcontinent, you don't really need Sam Curran. So at home, they are going the specialist way. So which is why you don't see the all-rounder route even opted by them. They are playing good enough batters, specialist keeper, and then you have 4 options with the ball. So harsh as it may sound, but I think he'll still be around there, but may not play a lot of test match cricket, which is fine. I mean, play what you're better at.
Okay, fair enough. Sanjay Papigiri asking us, would you invest in Jofra for the Ashes? Essentially, I'd like to say yes in an ideal world. You think about Australian pitches, you think about Jofra Archer and his pace, it's hand in glove almost, Sanjay. But I don't know if he's looking at the same way that English cricket fans are or the ECB are. I think 2027, that World Cup, they should pencil him in because it's South Africa, and yet again, he can extract bounds on those surfaces. So with regards to the Ashes, I think they have the plethora of pacers we mentioned earlier when we talked about the England-West Indies chat in terms of Atkinson, not to forget Mark Wood, people like Josh Tongue, Matty Potts, like Akshay mentioned. So they have options in depth. There's so many, and I don't know how many more we can take because we've really run out of time, but we really appreciate everyone joining us in this MNL. A final one, and Mohit Ranjan, if you're new to the channel, please like, and we'll take your question to wrap up proceedings. Difference between part-time off-spinner versus proper off-spin. Take my question, guys. I mean, look, you also have another question in the comments in terms of what is the future of off-spin and ODIs, and that's a very good point because since the whole 2-ball aspect in the 50-over format, it's almost taken off spinners out of the game. That's something that Team India head coach himself said to a podcast with Ashwin in terms of how off spinners have gone out of the game. So, look, coming back to answer your first question, I feel you genuinely need an off spinner. Given that matchups are more prominent, if you're playing a team which has left-handers stacked, you'd want an off-spinner. A part-time off-spinner would be brilliant. We've seen it in the past with India itself, with Raina and Jadhav. I know people would not like to call him off-spinner more than a slingy, slow bowler, but you get my point. I think we've seen it even in the early 2000s, mid-2010s, where every team had the part-time off-spinners chipping in. Pakistan still have it with Ifti. They had it with Shoaib Malik. You talk about it in Sri Lanka and DDS to a certain factor. Quickly, just to get the boys' thoughts on this, very quickly. Akshay, you first, and Nix. What is the difference according to you? Part-time off-spinner and off spinner.
Again, there's no definition as such. If you have to go by how commentators or broadcasters use it, it's essentially someone who bowls a lot more often would be a full-time spinner. Part-time spinners are someone who roll their arm over only when necessary, 2-3 over bas usi ke liye. Apart from that, if you want to really talk about what differentiates the two, a proper off-spinner is someone who will have variations, who has control over those variations, who's accurate. Part-timer is someone who's just there to probably fill in the overs for all you know. So again, there's no correct right or wrong answer because there's no definition as such, but yeah, loosely that's how we refer to someone as a part-timer.
Okay. Neelaksh Consola, if you're new, please subscribe. While looking through the test numbers for Root, and congratulations to him, couldn't help but see a certain caliber for 13k runs and 300 wickets, greatest cricketer ever. Lots of people in the chat earlier as well were talking about whether Root can overtake Sachin's 15,000 odd runs in tests. And you never know with Root, of course, playing predominantly test matches more and more, and the run machine that he is, he could beat that record. We thought Anderson could go past Sachin's 200 test matches, but that wasn't to be. Adyayan's yelling in the chat saying, Avnish bhai, take my questions. What questions and comments do you have? You've had 3 of it. We'll take it up, and I promise not taking any more time in this one. Today's PC was one of the better ones in the past few years. Both looked very much in sync, and we knew what they were doing. The questions would persist around the selections, but they were very clear. We felt the same. Adyayan, he goes on to say, boys, I felt Hartley bowled a lot better than Bashir in a different chat in the India series. I may be wrong, but he showed a lot of more skill. Yeah, good old Bobby Charlton. If you know the doppelganger reference, you know. And the only thing I dislike about this England team is how they don't care about the WTC, and the whole focus around every decision is based on the Ashes. What do you expect from the England team? Nick said it a while ago. But what was your question? I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I missed out your question, Adyan, but do tell us in the comments. We'll reply after the show 100%. Parth sticking his nose in. It just doesn't seem to end. Should India look past Pant in T20s? We spoke about it. We feel like, I personally feel Samson should be given the nod and Pant should be solely penciling test cricket right now. But you guys can have your say. Akshay, on that, Pant, yeah or no?
देख लो भाई, मतलब इतना सोचा भी नहीं है, थोड़ा टाइम दो यार, अभी इमीडिएटली नहीं सोचा है, सोचेंगे बस इतना ही है जो बोलना है.
Okay, and then Nikhil, to wrap up, because we started the show with Gambhir, Max Mojo saying, let's say KKR didn't win the IPL. In fact, they performed poorly. Would GG still have been made the coach? No. And he's on mute and proceedings. Love it. Absolutely
No
love
answer.
it.
Best way
No
to go
answer.
about it.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much for your time, Nikhil, and Akshay as well, who's on holiday, but he's given us his time in terms of the Monday Night Live pod. You guys can catch it on Spotify if you guys have just joined in, or you can, of course, listen to it on YouTube how many ever times you want. But like it, share it, and tell all your friends about cricket.com. There's more stuff coming up throughout the rest of the week, especially on the shorts front. Go check it out. Until the next time, so goodbye from me, Avnish Hegde, and only time will tell people, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how Gautam Gambhir and this era will go. Cheers.